Hey guys, it's Splatoon here, and welcome to video 3 of Splatoon 2 month. This video was the main reason why I had to leave this month until the final Splatfest was over, because new maps were added every single Splatfest. There's a total of 47 maps in the game, so no surprise that some are better than others. I'm taking into account their designs, their gimmick, and how much fun they were to play on. So let's go! Whenever there was a new Splatfest, one of the things I always looked forward to was the new Shifty Station, as these were some of my favourite maps because they had the most interesting gimmicks. So I expect to see more of these down the list. As you can probably guess from the title, the main gimmick of this one is these ink switches, that apart from the one in the centre, opens and shuts gates. You'll be able to open the opposing side gates if you can get the switches on their side in your ink colour, allowing you access to the opposing side's area. And it's one of only two ways you can get to the opponent's side. As for the one in the centre, it changes which of the uninkable platforms are raised, giving a team another option to get to the opponent's side, using some of the inkable raised platforms in the centre. And weirdly enough, you need it in the other team's ink so you can invade their side, which makes no sense. And the use of the switches are key to victory on this map. If you can't get to the opponent's side, good luck winning this. And even then, a lot of matches can come down to the center area. The fights for the switches can make the games get pretty chaotic at times. I suggest you pick a weapon that covers turf quickly because of that. One of my favourite kinds of maps in this series has always been the laterally split ones, like Soul Spray Rig in the original. This game used a lot more of them, with two of them being Shifty Stations. As such, the spawn points are literally right next to each other, only separated by a wall that you can't pass through. You won't be fighting opponents until you drop down towards the center, unless they use the ink switches here. There are 3 of them in the map, the first of which just raises a wall that blocks shots. However, you can still go around the wall, so it's kinda pointless. It's the 2 ink switches at the back of the more useful ones, since they'll raise up some of the platforms in the center, which you can ink to climb up off by the way. That can help you get to the opponent's base. When the platforms are down, it's a pretty wide open area at the back, but as those platforms are rising, pits will start showing up in the arena. The platforms are pretty slow going up, however, so I prefer to use the ink storm to hit the switches so you can ink turf whilst it's rising. I'll be honest though, the switches and the lateral symmetry are really all this stage has going for it. There's not really that much else to it, but I do really enjoy the matches on this map. Early 2018 is where the Shifty Station started to get really good. While Zone of Glass wasn't all that great, the ones after that were hit after hit after hit. And with grappling's as the main gimmick, not in positions that are hard to see unlike in some of the single player levels, it's no wonder. Basically, every time you shoot at one of these, you are pulled towards them and then dropped off, which is required to get anywhere on this map as most of the walls are not inkable. And if you don't have a long range weapon, don't worry. Most of the bombs and specials were also connected to the grapplings. It's actually really fun using the specials to warp across the map, and the Stingray can tear this map in half. Don't believe me? Just watch. That's one way of getting into the opponent's base quickly. The layout itself is mostly the same level, except for the spawn points being raised, which, like I already said, can only be climbed back up via the grappling, and the raised platform in the centre that you can shoot down on. It's a good layout that makes great use of the gimmick, which can be used to pull off some cool manoeuvres. Another one of my favourite gimmicks in the single player is the dash tracks, because I like going fast with them, if my in-game name didn't clue you in on that I like speed. As such, yeah, I enjoyed the speed you can get on this map for the Smash Bros Splatfest, where ironically enough, my main in Smash is the fastest character in the game. With the 2 ramps getting you closer to the center near the spawn points, and several other ramps that can zip you from one side of the arena to the other, it's easily the best way of travel on one of the longest maps in the game. The only dash panels that aren't ramps are the 2 on the wall near the spawn point, which allows you to go up an uninkable wall. And you can even fire your weapon whilst in the air from these panels, so you can use these to ink a lot of turf very quickly, especially with the shooters. I love using the Sploosh-O-Matic on these things. Just be careful though, as you are vulnerable from landing on some of these, but they can also be used to make some quick getaways as well. You can even throw some of the bombs on the dash panels. I don't see much use for that, but it's technically an option. However, this isn't the only map that you can get a lot of speed on. We'll get to those later. Like for example, I was so happy to see this one return. It was a blast to play on. And believe it or not, this is the only non-Shifty Station map on the list. I told you there was going to be a lot of Shifty Stations on this list. But to be honest, the Conveyors on this map feel like they could actually belong in a Shifty Station. It's more interesting than some of the earlier Shifty Stations, that's for sure. As anyone who knows how Conveyors work, these things can speed you up or slow you down, depending on the direction you're going to relative to the direction of the conveyor belt. It's actually surprisingly fun using these to speed across the map. As for the layout, it's one of the largest maps in the game. There's not that much distance between the spawn points, but the center area is wide open, with 2 conveyor ramps in the center, one near each of the spawn points that goes forwards towards the center. Right next to that is a conveyor that leads you towards the side area. Then right next to that is another conveyor that leads down to the side areas, and finally another one that leads back up to the main area. You'll definitely want to use these if you want results in this map, especially the ramped ones. I've had a blast using these conveyors in the turf wars. I just wish more of the normal maps had more interesting gimmicks like this. So the Springfest, the head didn't decide to be a complete idiot this time, and we got another really cool Shifty Station. Like Zappy Longshocking, this Splatfest is split laterally and connects in the center, which is where the main highlight of this stage takes place with the ink switch. Actually, this map has a lot of similarities to Zappy Longshocking, but the switch changes the map much differently here. Every time somebody hits that switch, the floor underneath will start to move under a glass plate, and once it goes underneath that, that's it out for good. So you need it covered in your own ink before it goes under. In other words, this is not a map you want to suffer a team wipe on. Eventually though, once the switch has been hit enough, it will close up and it will just play out like a normal map for the rest of the game. A lot of the matches are often determined by how much ink is in the enclosed area, because if there's loads of one team's ink in there, the other team's going to have fun winning. In fact, this map actually has one of the highest amounts of inkable turf because of the Shifty Stations gimmick. The rest of the map is also pretty fun, with various ramps and inkable walls to reach the higher areas, which become a lot more important once the switch is closed off. Most of the gimmicks in the Shifty Station stages came from the single player's campaign. However, occasionally, some of them were completely original. Case in point, the bunker games. Now at first, it seems pretty standard. It's basically a large circle in the center that has various inkable ramps up to the spawn points. The map starts getting interesting at the 150 mark however, because at that point, you'll get a warning that certain containments are coming down, and 10 seconds later, well, you know. After another 10 seconds, or more like 9 to be honest, the containment's locked down, and at that point those areas are sealed off for good, with the only way out being a launch pad that people inside can escape from. So once everyone's out, that ink in there is permanent, aside from a few specials. Then at 55 seconds, the second containment warning comes, but this time it's only 5 seconds until that comes down, blocking the center of the map about 9 seconds later. This contained area works the same as the first one. It can be quite a challenge, and it can get pretty intense trying to fight for those areas, so for that, it gets high on this list. One of my favourite Splatfests was the Splatoon one. We only got the one in Europe. The previous year we thought of toilet paper, as it led to one of the funniest memories of the game, hey mate who I randomly bumped into on a 10 times victory, and I also had one of my favourite Shifty Stations. As you can tell from the footage, the main gimmick here is the ink ride rails, a gimmick that I had wanted in a Shifty Station for quite a while at the time, as I loved using them during the Inklings campaign, and these are required to get towards the centre of the map, which has uninkable walls, and the opposing sides. They're also the most ideal way of getting from one side of the map to the other, and they also create great opportunities to ink turf. At the right you have an ink ride rail that takes you to another ink ride rail, which will take you towards the centre of the map, and just left of the former ink ride rail is another ink ride rail that leads towards the centre. On the left is another ink ride rail that leads towards the right side of the map. However, if the ink ride rail on the far right leading towards the centre is on, you can side jump onto it to get to the centre faster. The ink ride rails, however, are the only ways of getting to the opponent's side, so it's not uncommon that the winner is determined by the centre part, so you will want to guard that place as much as possible. It makes it a nightmare for any opponents trying to get through. I've always found riding the ink ride rails a thrill to do, and using them to your advantage and to ink turf and reach the opponent's side is absolute bliss. They made some of my favourite single player levels, and they also made one of my favourite maps in the entire series. One of my favourite waves in Salmon Run is the Cohawk charge, because we get to use the ink cannons. Well, all of my teammates do, so I have to be out so we don't all fail. So I absolutely love finding out that the next Shifty Station had ink cannons. And these ink cannons are a lot of fun to use, as you can fire as many powerful shots as you like, assuming you have enough ink. There's 3 on the map, 2 up on a high cliff near each of the team's bases that can't be inked up so you have to go around, and another one in the wide open center which has plenty of turtling and some walls to avoid the cannon's fire, as those shots can easily one-shot you. However, the person in the cannon is extremely vulnerable, so you have to hope nobody's near you, especially in the center part, so watch out. My one minor complaint with this is getting into the cannons can sometimes be a little bit awkward, but I absolutely loved using the cannons during the Gherkin vs Gherkin Splatfest, and it's still easily one of my favorites today. It was actually the map I was most looking forward to coming back in the final fest. Oh, and before number 1, going to give a quick honourable mention to Gusher Towns. I thought using the Gushers to reach higher places and attack from above was a lot of fun. Ordering this list was no easy task. I wasn't even sure on number 1, but after replaying all these maps, it became pretty clear. I'm surprised it took as long as they did to make a stage with the ink furlers, especially because it felt like they were running out of ideas at this point, but it was certainly worth the wait. And this map has quite a lot of them, most notably a large one that connects the spawn points down towards the center. Every time these are shot at, they'll unfurl their team's ink, which they can swim through, but players can also ink it themselves afterwards, and if nobody shoots the end of a furl after a while, it'll refurl back. The map makes amazing uses of these to be able to travel from place to place quickly. Also at the halfway point, the water level drops, revealing new inkable surfaces, and changing the design of the whole map, or Mahi Mahi Resort style, which was actually my favourite map in the original because of that. Haven't seen my Splatoon 1 maps video? Good, keep it that way. Also like Mahi Mahi Resort, there's a good amount of platforming here as well, which is something I can appreciate. I was disappointed that Mahi Mahi Resort didn't return, but this map blows out of the water anyway. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We've only got one more stop to go. Hope to see you next week for my favourite weapons.